What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about HBAR today at the request of Robert Filanowicz. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. Oh my goodness, hold on. Nope. I thought I had to sneeze. I want to sneeze, but I can't sneeze. I think it's when I talk, I just can't sneeze, man. If we're looking at this from a low, relative low here to a relative high here, we have pierced the veil through the 382. It's oftentimes very common when you interact with the 382 to actually, especially on your first attempt, which this is the first attempt technically, to go wick through it and then close above it. So we do have 2 days and 21 hours left in this week. It would be nice, I suppose, to close above 16.637 cents. If we don't do that, it's fine. Sometimes you do close below it on your first attempt, and that can happen. Maybe we go all the way down to the 0.5. Maybe we find support somewhere in this area. But as long as we get back above it by the end of next week, I think you're fine, HBAR. So I'm not worried about you at all. It does seem as though you are in some kind of flag pattern, right? It does seem more like a bullish flag now than it ever has, really. And if it is a bull flag, if we take this into consideration here, low to high, not the fake out high, but the actual high right there, right? We put it at the current low, assuming it goes lower. Let's just say you go all the way down to the 0.5, which I doubt you do, but let's just say you do. That puts your measure move all the way at about $1.22. And now $1.22 for your measure move, that's just an idea. That doesn't mean you have to go there. You can stop below there. You can go above there, but that is right at your 1272 from your last bull cycle high to bear market low. That fib's pretty significant. Minimum target here lines up pretty well with the perceived measure move if you were to go down to the 0.5. If your low is already in, which I doubt, then likely you would go higher, and this would probably likely imply that you either do stop still in that same area at $1.21 or maybe even move up higher. I'm anticipating personally that you don't stop at your measure move, that the price continues to go through, and you likely will stop around the 1414. With the 1414 at $1.80 there, oftentimes you do go just a little bit through the 1414, which would take you potentially to $2 or higher. I don't know if you go higher than $2, but something around there I very much do anticipate will happen. So that's kind of the expectation for HBAR at this point in time. If we look at the weekly RSI, we look at that here. You do have higher lows coming on. You are at the 40 area, and I think from a weekly perspective, you guys, from a time frame perspective, you're very near the bottom. I don't think that it goes too much longer, right? I think this is around the area that you find support. You found support here before. You found support here before. You found support in this area before and before. Found some resistance and turbulence here before. I think this is it. I think you're in the final hours of this downtrend. So this week, next week, somewhere in between, probably. I would think before the 10th of April, we will find support for HBAR. It will be the low, and you'll start to recover from here. The rest of April going forward will not from this day, not from April 4th, but from the 10th and onward, or even before the 10th, somewhere before the 10th, if not on the 10th and onward. I'm assuming that HBAR will have a dramatic recovery. It'll continue to move up to a minimum of $1.20, if not a potential maximum of something around $2, maybe even just above $2. And it's at $1.60. Wait, yeah, dollar. Sorry, it's at 16 cents right now, 16.115 cents. So that's some pretty dramatic price action, man. Don't you know how much HBAR would have to grow? Yeah, to get to $1.20, it'd have to pull about a 9x, 9.5x, which it's already done before. So I definitely think that as a minimum target is fine. You're telling me that if it goes above $1.20, that's going to be a bigger move than it saw last time. Yes, I am. Yeah, exactly. It probably will be a bigger move than last time. This was just your starting move of the bull cycle, man. Now, your next move, your second phase, which is just confirmation that you are about what you're about here, you're also going to be breaking out to new all-time highs. Breaking out to new all-time highs, confirming that you're in a bull market, confirming that you're moving up, that this is exactly what it looks like. It's a bullish setup for higher prices. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw a larger move. Now, will it take as much time? Will it take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks? Probably not. It probably takes more than that. I think that it won't be in 1 month that you're up at these areas. Well, probably around these areas. I don't think that it'll be 1 month that you're here, but rather like a month and a half, maybe 2 months even, right? It's the beginning of April. It could be the end of the beginning of June. It could even be the end of June. Maybe 2.5 months, 3 months that it could take before you find these high targets. But I do think that it's coming. At least that's the expectation. If we're looking at the 4-hour time frame here, 4-hour RSI is looking neutral with a bearish tilt to it. The price action gives me a little bit of hope that you actually might move up, honestly. You're finding support at the 40, resistance at the 60, support at the 40, resistance at the 60, support at the 40, and then support again. You probably do come down. So a little bit lower is, I guess, what the expectation would be, and that's fine. Let's take this from a low to a high here. Low to high. what, like 15 cents? You're at 16 cents now, 15 cents, 14.3 cents. What is that from the current price? That seems a bit shallow, doesn't it? That seems a bit shallow. Let's see. Hold on. Yeah, okay, there we go. That makes sense. Something around probably, I would say 14 cents to 12 cents, 12.4 cents. 14 to 12.4 cents is where you're going to go. I don't even like 14 cents. Let's say 13 and a half to 12 and a half cents, something like that. That gives you a 15% drop versus a potential 23% drop, and that sounds about right to me. And then from there, we'll probably recover. You'll find support at prior areas of resistance going over the coming days. I think that this will happen. This drop is going to happen over the coming days, and I think you'll find your low again before the 10th. Maybe even before like the 8th, who knows, but just before the 10th is what I feel confident on. Maybe it's on the 10th exactly, who knows, but somewhere around this prior area of resistance between 12 and a half cents and 13 and a half cents is the expectation. If you go a little bit lower than 12 and a half cents, you're fine. If you don't quite go below 13 and a half cents, that could be your low too. But that's just my opinion. And then from there, recover, play off of this bull flag move, bull flag endeavor, taking you at least to $1.20, if not more likely somewhere around $2. And from 16 cents now, that's some pretty solid gains, you guys. We're talking about a move that's probably going to be around, if not above, a 10x from the current price, let alone from the lower prices that you go to. That's all I got for you. Oh, you know what? Actually, let's talk about the all-time highs. We'll talk about the all-time highs real quick, because I know a lot of people appreciate that. Being that HBAR has already had a bull cycle and a bear cycle, we can kind of talk about the all-time high expectations a little bit more candidly. I suppose the minimum expectation for the cycle end would be something at $3.12. The maximum expectation might be something around $20, maybe even just above $20. Let's see if that makes sense. Okay, so from the current market cap, let's see. Hedera, 6.8, let's call it $7 billion. We'll just round up and call it $7 billion. From $7 billion of a market cap now, if we were to move up here, that's about a 20x, right? 20x, 10x from 70, it's 140 billion. I could see it happening. 140 billion, that could be the end of the cycle for you, man. It really could be. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but it really could be the end of the cycle. That's on the low end of things. That, to me, that's a bit of a pessimistic target, but realistic nonetheless. 140 billion, that's not a small accomplishment. That's a pretty big accomplishment. So you're worth over $100 billion. There's not many cryptos that do that, but I think HBAR will. However, I don't think it stops there. I meant it when I said pessimistic and on the low end of things. I actually think that it will go higher, probably multiple hundreds of billions of dollars if we're being honest. And that would be, something at a 40x makes sense. This 1886 at 650, the 200 right there at just below $9. I can see people saying we're going to go to $10. It's going to happen, and maybe you don't. That's a 50x from 7. What's 5 times 7? Is that's 350? About 350 million or billion, sorry. Maybe even a little bit above that, right? $350 to $400 billion in market cap valuation. That to me is probably the likely area you stop at, right? $650 to $9, somewhere in that zone. I think that's where you stop. So not so keen on the belief of this, but I accept it as a minimum right there at about $3. Pretty damn keen on the $650 to $9 area. That makes sense to me. And then I would say anything above that, we're reaching, man. Talking about this, that's a 100. That'd be a 100x, man. A 100x from here. That's a 114x, right? 114x from here, that gives you an over $700 billion market cap. And not that can't happen. Did I do my math wrong? Am I doing my math? If you're at $7 billion now, and you saw 53x. No, yeah, because if it was... So I did something wrong, right? Because it'd be around 350 billion, right? 350 billion here. 5. Oh, that's not a 5x. My bad. I did do the math wrong. That's a 6x. Okay, so it would be a little bit more. My bad. Anyways, but tomato, whatever. Instead of 350 to 400 billion, it'd be like 400 to 500 billion, something like that. I don't care to do the math. 112x right there from 7 billion. What's that? That would be a 700. Almost an $800 billion market cap. It could happen. I suppose it could happen, but oftentimes with the 2272, you don't stop there. You go just above that. So that would put you at like $1 trillion market cap, and maybe it could get there. But again, just like the 127 or the 1618, how I don't see that happening, but I accept it as a possibility. I don't see this happening, but I accept it as a possibility. Most likely, you go somewhere right in between about $9, $650. That's my expectation. You're at 16 cents now. And that's all I got for you guys. The reason why I have a hard time seeing the 1618 beyond all that is that would underperform the average altcoin. I'm anticipating the average altcoin does like a 25 to a 30x from their current prices. If HBAR only did an 18x from here, it's underperforming the average coin in a market where it's already outperformed the average coins. That doesn't sound right to me. At least that's not normally what happens. So we'll see how it goes. That's the expectations. I hope you liked the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.